Hello, beauty, and welcome to the Majestic Wanderer, the new moon in Sagittarius, on November 23rd, 2022. Can you believe it's already the end of November? We're getting there anyway. I am Jennifer Ness Schmid, also known as Divinely Jennifer, because we all are divine, aren't we, my loves? Okay, I'm going to try to do this video without my glasses on because the light is reflecting really weird. I think I need new glasses that have that like anti-reflective stuff on it. So wish me luck here. Oh, the joys of aging gracefully. So this new moon in Sag happens at 1 degree, 37 minutes of Sagittarius. So just like the Scorpio new moon, Scorpio lunar cycle, we will be feeling this energy quite strongly with the sun in Sagittarius for most of the lunar cycle. It happens at 3:57 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 5:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for my folks who are still stuck in California, that's 2:57 p.m. Pacific Time. So I'm just going to put in a little plug, and some of you are going to get annoyed by this. If that's the case, check into your poverty and your scarcity mentality. But I know you're all busy. Holidays are coming up and, inflation, yada, yada. But if you receive value from this video and from my videos, please consider making a small donation on Ko-fi. The link is below, which is like buying me a cup of coffee. Like, let's go to, I'm not going to say let's go to Starbucks. Let's go to our little local craft coffee joint and have a coffee together. Or like, or comment, or share. All of these things help to bring exposure to these videos, which, help everybody, I hope. Let's create an energetic exchange to raise the vibe all around us, right? So if that annoys you that I ask for that, or I'm putting in plugs for my readings and stuff, just check in, just saying. All right, so let's get back to this Sagittarius new moon. So some of the keynotes for Sagittarius: dogma and fanaticism. That's definitely its worst shadows. I'll be talking more about those in just a little bit. Being a victim of your own beliefs, like scarcity. The logical mind, the rational mind. Religion and spirituality. Astrology, yay. Beliefs, just beliefs in general. Higher knowledge, and I'm going to be talking about what that higher kind of means also. Teaching and learning, adventure, travel and exploration, long-term vision. All you vision board makers out there, that's all about Sagittarius. Truth, boundlessness, timelessness, light, and freedom. This is a fascinating new moon, wouldn't you say? So I'm going to be going over some of the energy of the transits and the lunar cycle. I will be using my screen if you are a visual person and like to learn about astrology to kind of point out where these things are on the charts. In my humble opinion, I think that Pallas Athena at 26 degrees, 18 minutes of Cancer is really the star of this show. And in fact, she is loosely trine the new moon and involved in most of the transits. So fascinating, I think I may have to go off about, let me rephrase that. I think I may have to speak my truth around the goddesses and astrology coming up, because I saw there's this one astrologer who I really like what he's putting out there, but he's like, I don't bother with the goddesses. Or what he said is, I don't bother with the asteroids. Excuse me. These asteroids, these goddesses are very important, in my humble opinion. Some of you aren't going to agree with that. And if that's the case, then go watch the other videos, because I'm going to talk a lot about Pallas Athena. I'm really excited to share what she signifies for us in this new moon, which I'll do after I talk about kind of the new moon itself, about the Sagittarius energy in general. So this Sagittarius new moon continues with Scorpio, the Scorpio theme of power. So Scorpio power generally involves money, wealth, resources, sexuality, secrets, manipulation, which then translates, hold on, before you get mad that I'm attacking Scorpio, also then translates into sovereignty and inner power and sharing our resources, generosity, tantric sex, not such a bad thing, right? Now, the shadow side of this Sagittarius energy, the Sagittarius power, is about using the power of knowledge. And I'm going to say knowledge in quotes. It's forcing others to do things against their will, like the mandates that we've had recently over the last couple of years. People who are being asked to choose, forced to choose between their job or the jab. And it's this idea of being right at all costs. My facts are better than your facts. My facts are right. Your facts are wrong. Bullies are totally unaware that any other beliefs or facts or knowledge exist. And those facts and that knowledge might actually contradict their own beliefs. And so they will stifle or censor those facts to serve their power. Where have we seen this lately? This Sagittarius knowledge power can express as scientific dogmatism. So this is the shadow side of that Sag. It's that scientific dogmatism versus the adventure of science, the exploration. I have this hypothesis. Let's see if it's true. It also expresses as religious fanaticism. And both of these concepts, the dogmatism and the fanaticism, all boil down to a fear of death. And I'll expand more on that in just a bit. But, that fear of death is so strong. And if you don't have trust and belief, that fear of death is really strong. Like if you don't believe in a higher power or something beyond all of this material earth stuff, our material bodies, then you're going to have a fear of that death. When people are in the shadow of dogmatism and fanaticism, they tend to be blind and deaf to others' truths. And then they're surprised by the backlash or the reaction to their beliefs and the actions of their beliefs. And again, you can't make up this stuff because this is so prevalent on the world stage today in the US, throughout the world, some of the politics that we're seeing. And then what happens when there's this outpouring of this dogmatism and fanaticism, then, we can also give up our power to an external authority. Because they're right. Because we don't have the self-assurance, the self-confidence in our own beliefs and our own truth. So we give up our power and then we become a victim to that authority. So give me a hallelujah if you, like me, left your job or got fired in the last 2+ years because you refused to give up your bodily autonomy to an outside authority. Yeah, hallelujah, baby. And here we are on this journey together. Aren't you glad you refused to give up your bodily autonomy? We are victims until we decide to stop being a victim. And so if you're someone who, chose to give up your bodily autonomy, and you feel okay about that, then that's your truth, right? But there are thousands of people out there that wasn't their truth. They were not okay with it. And they either felt like they had to or they didn't. And so that's what we see. And there are shadows on all sides of this conversation, on these issues. So that's, again, those are the shadow sides. So as much as I love Sag, it's one of my favorite signs. That's the shadow side. That's the part I don't really love so much, but it's that darker side, that shadow side that then reveals so much more. And then we can kind of go, okay, that part of the system is broken. Let's create something new together. Let's create. So there is a gift side to Sagittarius, just like there is to every sign, transit, etc. I'm always talking about the vibrations, the spectrum of vibration, spectrum of frequency that each of these new moons has, each of the full moons has, etc. So the higher vibration of the Sagittarius new moon is tapping into what makes you feel alive. What comes easily to you, where you might need to practice, but you don't need to try to do it, because when you try, you do it. And so it's this, some people, like my sister, I remember, tried to play clarinet, and that was just not her thing, right? When I sat down at the piano and I started learning piano, that came really easily to me. So we each have our different gifts of what comes easily to us. And it's funny because for people I know who chose, for instance, a college major or a career that seemed sensible, it wasn't what they loved, it wasn't what came easily to them, but they did it because they thought it was like a challenge or the right thing to do, are not happy, and they're not living in their truth, and they're constantly pushing boulders uphill, versus people who choose what comes easily and naturally to them and fills them up. When we do this, when we tap into that energy of ease, it creates vitality and power and strength within us. And this is where Pallas Athena also influences. When you put in the effort and the universe doesn't push back at you because you're in alignment, that's really this energy. So sometimes we put in the effort and the universe doesn't reward us either. I put this out to the world and no one signed up for those readings. No one did this. Okay, so where am I out of alignment? But when I'm in alignment and everything is really beautiful, that's when you know you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. You're down the right path. Consider, who are your heroines and heroes? What kind of heroine's journey did they undertake? And how can you tap into and be inspired by their courage and by their strength? The inner journey and the destination are as important as the outer journey and outer destination. Who you are going from point A to point B, becoming the person you want to become, manifesting what you want to become, starts with that inner journey and also is reflected in that outer journey. So I hope I'm not being too esoteric here. That's also a little bit of Sagittarius, can be a little bit of esotericism. That's a little bit more Scorpio. It's kind of that cross between them. Ultimately, though, this new moon, the highest vibration, in my humble opinion, of this new moon in Sagittarius is about trust, belief, and faith at a soul level. It's being a vessel for truth and knowledge and allowing it to come through you instead of grasping for facts. It's feeling it in your body. It's funny, my older daughter, she paces when she's studying. She's done this since she was little. She paces studying. She drives her roommates crazy. But what she's doing is she's embodying what she is learning. This is one of the beautiful things about Waldorf education, and, because it's movement to learn. They're tossing bean bags while they're reciting their times tables. There's this movement aspect. And when kids are forced to sit all day long, when anyone is forced to sit all day long, it can be really, really hard to learn, to retain. And then after all of that, after you've allowed this energy to come through you, this knowledge, we have to release everything we've learned as fact so that we can then discern at the soul level what's true, what's our truth, what's true to us. So like I said, we can do this through movement, which cultivates both inner and outer strength. Think about dance, yoga, tai chi, qigong, going for a walk, wandering through nature, taking a walk on a reserve or anything like that. Allow the rhythm of the music and your breath, your breath has a rhythm too, to come through you. don't think about it with your mind. Have you noticed that if you try to dance and you're thinking about the rhythm, you kind of are really robotic or stiff? But if you're thinking about that rhythm and you're feeling it rather with your heart and soul, then the movement comes so much more easily. And you think about the popularity of yoga, ecstatic dance, tai chi, how those, there's a yoga studio every square mile here in Phoenix. I feel really blessed to have found an amazing one 5 minutes from the house that I can go to. And so this movement helps me identify my truth, helps me release everything else so that I am totally solid and strong in myself and who I am, my inner truth. It really, in a lot of ways, boils down to spontaneity. Having the vision and the plan, like, all right, this is my vision board, and then this is my plan to get there. And then being willing to leap from it if it doesn't feel true, if it feels like a slog, maybe it's not the right thing for you, and you can go back and evaluate that. You can tap in. Because really, it's all about the journey and the destination. You hear people sometimes go, it's all about the journey. But honestly, it's about both. It's about the journey and the destination. You have to have the vision, that long-term vision of where you're going, where you want to go. And you have to have the determination to take your steps to get there, to also then be in present moment, to take your steps to get to that destination. Sagittarius is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. And this moon is loosely trine to Jupiter. This new moon is loosely trine to retrograde Jupiter, who's at 28 degrees, 47 minutes of Pisces. I'll point him out when I pull it up on the screen. And so the more gratitude you have for the gifts that you receive on the journey and the way you're able to give your gifts, the more prosperous you can become along the way on that journey for the destination. And likewise, with this new moon being loosely trying to retrograde Jupiter, being open-minded and open-hearted is always rewarded by the divine. Being closed-minded, again, one of those shadow keynotes of Sagittarius, that constriction of the mind, and then the constriction of the heart. It's very hard to be abundant or to be connected to love and consciousness when we create those limitations versus when we're open-minded and open-hearted. And then things flow so much more easily. So I also think this new moon is ruled by Sag, or at least Sag has a very influential energy, and I'll get to her in just a quick minute, I promise. So ultimately, Sag is about optimism, which is a form of love, that belief that things are good, and the belief that the challenge can be overcome. Sagittarius is freedom, and freedom comes from loving the journey and believing in the outcome of the long-term vision. You can't manifest without doing. So you can't manifest the vision without doing, without the journey. And when you embody belief plus action plus soul alignment, that, my loves, is manifesting. That is the truth. And the law. Sagittarius is about law, not like Libra, the scales of justice, but it's more like that. This is the law of the universe. The law of attraction in the universe isn't just about sitting and I'm visualizing, I'm sitting outside and I'm going to have someone deposit $10,000 in my bank account, but I'm just going to sit here until it happens. That's not the law of attraction. The law of attraction is the visualization and the doing and the belief that it's going to happen, and it's aligned with your soul and your truth. That's when the manifestation happens. That's the law of attraction. So I'm going to talk about Pallas Athena before I talk about the rest of the transits. And so I'll show my screen then for you all, but I want to talk about Pallas. And Pallas Athena's journey through Cancer is quite long. It's 8 months. It lasts 8 months because she goes retrograde on November 30th, the week after the new moon. And she's retrograde through February 16th. So she doesn't move into Leo until until May. So she has moved into Cancer in September, and she'll move into Leo in May. And, if you need someone to visualize for Pallas Athena, think of Robin Wright Penn's character in Wonder Woman, that Wonder Woman's aunt. And she's the trainer. She's the one who trains her to be a warrior. And then she's just such a beautiful character. And she's strategic, and she's not ruthless because she loves deeply. So that's how I visualize Pallas. Now in Cancer, Pallas is training us, and I say training in quotes, to lead or to strategize with our hearts, not with our logical or rational mind. That would be later when she's in Sagittarius. But when she's in Cancer, it's all about training and strengthening our hearts, visualizing with our hearts, strategizing and leading with our hearts. And, it's a potent combination, the heart. It's halfway between our solar plexus, our intuition, our sacral plexus, and our thought, our mind, our sixth chakra, our crown. That's the heart. It's the midpoint of the 7 chakra systems. Of course, if you believe there are more than 7, which is just fine. I haven't even explored that. Just know that some people do. The heart, though, is right in the middle of our physical embodiment, this physical body, beyond our aura and our etheric body and our astral body. And if you're familiar with the 4 agreements, who I mention frequently by Don Miguel Ruiz, the one that I think really resonates with Pallas and Cancer is be impeccable with your word. It's all about love language, and it's about intelligence versus intellect. So intellect is about facts. Most of us, especially here in the US, we all learn the same facts in school, and it's all homogenized, which means that the cream can't rise to the top because the fat is all shaken in. You know that have you ever seen the difference between homogenized milk and not homogenized milk? So with not homogenized milk, the cream rises to the top, which you can then skim off, make butter, put in your coffee, or shake up and mix together, but it's a lot freer. The homogenization process breaks down the fat molecules so much they're obliterated that they're just forever lost in the rest of the milk. So this fat is obliterated by sitting at a desk and learning facts then getting in trouble for staring out the window, wishing you were out in nature, playing. The goal of modern education, sorry, some of you teachers out there, is to make us all the same and think the same thoughts. And my guess is if you're listening to this video, you are probably not a teacher in the public school system, but you've ventured elsewhere. And this is one of the 1,000 reasons why I advocate for unschooling or homeschooling, because you have the freedom to teach in nature, which I think I'll talk about in a minute. But intelligence, so that's intellect. Ooh, the homogenization. Intelligence comes from the embodiment of what lives in our heart and our soul and our spirit. It's what makes us all unique and paradoxically unifies and unites us through the love consciousness, the one consciousness. How we embody love is also unique. It's our unique intelligence, how we embody and express both the love of our hearts and also the love of the divine, the one consciousness, the love of Mother Earth, etc. This is our unique intelligence that we come into the world with. Pallas is all about intelligence. This extended transit through Cancer is to help us train us to listen to our hearts so we can embody love. Because sometimes our brains, our rational mind, gets in the way of our heart. Previously, her 11-month transit through Pisces that she had from March of 2021 through February of 22 was to train us to listen to our intuition and the cosmos. So were you paying attention to Pallas when she was in Pisces so that you could connect more with your intuition? Or were you daydreaming out the window? If you even have a window. Hopefully you're not sitting in a cubicle that doesn't have a window. Incidentally, Pallas is one, as I mentioned, she's one of the most influential goddesses of Sagittarius, which is about learning. So in Cancer, she shows us, like I said, how to overcome logic and information that have been programmed into our minds and brains since infancy. So, take the devices away from the little ones. God, it drives me so crazy when I see a little kid with an iPad or a phone or something because the parents are trying to distract it or just whatever. Because, let them play with nature, a block of wood, a couple of big rocks. Nature is the ultimate teacher about pretty much everything. And teaching takes minimal effort when you involve nature in the process. So let your inner child as well as your adult child wander. You are a child of the universe and the divine. Explore the capacity of your heart. See how strong it can be. Take yourself on a grand adventure of love. Love that is created through awe and wonder. The first snowfall, a baby's first steps, the fall color changing, a gorgeous sunset, the purr of your cat, the flirty fearlessness of a hummingbird that hovers close by before it zips away again. Learn a new love language so that you can communicate universally. And that is the truth of the Sagittarius new moon and Pallas Athena in Cancer. So give me just a second and I'm going to pull up the chart and we're going to talk a little bit about the astrology. So here's the new moon. Here is this beautiful new moon. All new moons are beautiful. This beautiful new moon in Sagittarius at 1 degree, 37 minutes of Sag. We have Pallas Athena down here at 26 degrees, 18 minutes of Cancer. We have Jupiter up here at 28 degrees, 47 minutes of Pisces. It is a loose grand trine, which is always so interesting when you have a grand trine. It's 2 waters and 1 fire. And that really, again, it's like not a totally fire tends to be a little bit more masculine and water tends to be a little bit more feminine. And so it's this beautiful energy though of giving, receiving, of integrating our mind, our heart, and our intuition. I love that energy about this new moon. And you can see again this grand trine here. So the Sagittarius new moon, Pallas, and Jupiter here. All right, let's get into some of the other astrology here with this new moon. So again, here's this new moon in Sagittarius. The new moon is square to Vesta in Pisces. This is a conflict between intuition and thought. It's, do you do what you should do, or do you go where you think you should go versus doing or going where your intuition tells you? Sometimes we ignore our GPS and we take our own route and then we get stuck in traffic from an accident or we get lost. Are you listening to your inner GPS? Also with this, many rites and rituals strengthen our intuition, and those rites and rituals go against the logical mind. I think law of attraction is one of those things that goes against the logical mind. And, think about, where do you shut down yourself, or where do you dim your light? Where do you dim your ideas so that other people don't judge your beliefs? I have a really great quote. This is, I love the Gene Keys, and this is from Richard Rudd. And it's in the book, Gene Keys, Embodying Your Purpose. It's from Gene Keys 62. And he says, the only way you can scientifically prove that God exists is to become God. And that's our mic drop for the Sagittarius new moon. But I'm going to keep going. Whew, love that. The only way you can scientifically prove that God exists is to become God. Take that, Fauci. Right. Other aspects of this new moon, we have Venus, beautiful Venus at 9 degrees, 39 minutes of Sag, and she's conjunct Mercury here. This is Mercury. Conjunct Mercury at 2 is at 10 degrees, 14 minutes of Sag. Mercury and Venus will conjunct on November 21st in the afternoon here. So it'll be the 22nd for those of you in Australia. Just like the new moon, it'll be on November 24th for those of you in Australia. So we've got Venus and Mercury conjunct less than a degree. Venus loves the adventure in Sagittarius. And it's boundless love, and it makes her invincible. She tempers the dogmatism and fanaticism that Mercury might express when he's in Sag. This is why it's so important that we listen more than we talk. You know that expression, we're born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And listening with our ears, with our hearts, and with our intuition, this is how we embody true learning and understanding. Venus and Mercury here are in a hammer of Thor with Eris in Aries and Pallas Athena in Cancer. So Eris and Pallas are squaring, and they're in what's called a sesquiquadrate, which is kind of a stressful aspect with Venus and Mercury. Use your heart to advocate for the truth of love and keep practicing advocating for your heart, right? You'll master it eventually. It takes practice. We're so programmed to use our brains first. It takes time. We got to train ourselves to listen to our heart. And when we do, it's like an express lane fast track to inner truth and awakening. And you'll master it eventually. Okay, Pallas down here is also then in a hammer of Thor with Mercury and Venus here in Sagittarius, and Juno in Pisces. Juno is the goddess of love and intimate partnerships, among other things. Have you ever compromised your beliefs for an intimate relationship? Who, me? Have you ever dimmed your light for an intimate relationship, thinking you were actually doing the relationship a favor, which you were not? Sovereignty in union comes from standing strong in the power of our love and being free to being our best self. So again, this Pallas here is the endpoint of that hammer. She's the focus of that hammer. She's that express lane to strengthening our heart when we are truly ourselves, our highest selves in relationship. Pallas is also in a T-square with Pluto in Capricorn. So here's Pluto in Capricorn up here. So they're almost opposite. Oh, their opposition is exact by degree, but it will not go opposite. It will not go exact rather by the minute because Pallas is going to station retrograde. So they're in this T-square, right? So here's Eris over here, and you can see the red lines here, this little triangle here. And Eris is the focal point of this T-square. So putting limits on the autonomy of the feminine, and particularly Eris says our bodily autonomy, is always a bad idea because the feminine will always outsmart the oppressing authority who is trying to put limits on that autonomy. And I'm going to be teaching a lot more about this in 2023. I can't wait. Finally, retrograde Mars in Gemini is in what's called a biquintile spike with Pluto in Capricorn up here. So here's Pluto in Capricorn again. And here is the South Node in Scorpio. Some people tend to dominate the conversation and the ideas being put out there. Have you ever been in a meeting with somebody like that? And that can happen through censorship, like just not letting you talk, not letting you put your ideas out there, or just simply from being kind of clueless and loquacious. You have the choice to use the energy of this new moon to cause harm with your words to create a spell with black magic. Or you can cast happy spells with your words to raise the consciousness around you. Choose wisely, because a biquintile spike like this, you can sort of see those light blue lines. They're magic. It's what makes us witchy. You'll love that. So these words are powerful, and I encourage you to choose wisely, because whatever spells you cast with language, if you're not impeccable with your word, can cause harm. They can lower the vibration or they can raise it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If you want to know more about the influence of Venus, Pallas, Eris, Juno, and Vesta, the goddesses in your own life, I am offering for a short time the Badass Babe reading. And if you're not on my mailing list, you might not have heard about this. Or if you don't follow me on Telegram, please email me at hello@divinelyjennifer.com and I'll send you the link, or you can send me a message in Instagram or Telegram. I'll send you the link to those. I'm going to offer them. They're up. They're really cheap considering what I normally charge for a reading, because we're just having some fun here with the girls. So definitely send me a message if you're interested in a goddess reading between now and December 1st. You can book it through now and December 1st. I'll probably offer them through the end of December. We'll see about that as I am preparing everything that I am going to be offering for 2023. I'm so excited. And like I said, if you receive value from this video, please consider donating through Ko-fi, and the link is below, or commenting and or liking on YouTube, and or sharing it with your soul tribe. I would be so appreciative. I love you. I just want the world to be a better place, and I think if more people used astrology as the phenomenal tool that it is to tap into the divine and all of their gifts, this world would be a much different place. I am wishing you a very happy new moon. I am wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the US, Turkey Day with friends and family. I love you, and I'll see you the next time.